If you think of Supercross in India, there's a very good chance that the first name that comes to your head is Rugved Barguje. And for good reason. He has 6 national championships to his name. He has just dominated the last championship and the one before that. And by the looks of it, he's just about getting started. So, of course, a pleasure to have you here on Motopod. And the most important question, of course, is also the easiest one and the most obvious one, which is, how did it all start?
So it all started with a dream. My family belongs to racing. My dad used to race, my uncle used to race, and my cousins also used to race. So when I was very young, like 8, 9 years old, that time I used to go for the races, and always it was fun to watch them fly in the air, and it was very interesting and fascinating. So 2012, it all started with the 85cc.
2012. So how old were you back then?
12 years old.
You were 12 years old?
Yes.
But then when was the first time you actually sat on a motocross bike or actually rode a motocross bike?
My dad made me a small bike, which was Sunny. It was modified with the Sunny engine.
Oh.
And yeah, I was that time 3 years or 4 years old.
Wow.
So I rode it, and on the start line, I still remember on the start line, I had some idling issues to the bike.
Okay.
So one of the mechanic came and he just increased the idling to its maximum. And I was holding the brake, so I did not recognize that the wheel, without accelerating, the wheel is spinning.
Yeah.
And on the start line, when the gate dropped, I just left the brakes and it went like straight. And I had a very bad crash.
Oh, wow.
I was bleeding from the nose and everything. And from that time, my mom was a little bit scared, and even my dad. So eventually, I should have started much earlier, but after that crash, I directly jumped to the 2012, and everything started from 2012 itself.
But did that scare you? Like as a kid? I mean, I don't know how much of it you remember, but
Yeah, it was a pretty bad hit, and yeah, I was scared, but it's a part of the game. So before racing, I used to do skating.
okay.
So I was a skater, a professional skater.
Okay. So injuries, getting hurt was a
Yeah.
part of the.
It was a part of.
Okay. This is a known fact that your father, yeah, was a very celebrated TVS factory rider, right? So was that also your dream to when you started competing professionally, or even as a privateer? Was it your dream to also one fine day start racing for TVS Racing?
There was a race in Mumbai, the MRF National Supercross, 6th round. It was the last round, and I just participated. I was just started riding. So I saw over there Arvind KP and Harit Noah, who were battling, and it was very fascinating because the battle was so intense that Harit crashed in it and he broke his right wrist.
Did it also like bring back the memories of your dad racing for TVS and you wanting to do it at some point of time?
Yeah, when I was looking at them, like the support from the team, the bikes and everything looked phenomenal. Like every time I went to the team, like my dad has connections with the team, so it was great to go and greet and meet them and get to know about the team. So it was like some point I thought of getting into the team, and I dreamed of it, and it came true.
How did it happen? When did the opportunity come knocking from the TVS factory team?
2013, from factory team, Mr. Arvind Pangaukar, who was the manager for the racing department, he suggested my dad to send him to Sri Lanka and race amongst the kids category in Sri Lanka,
So this is a junior.
junior category.
Okay. Okay.
So in 2013, we went to Sri Lanka. Even the TVS team was over there. They were competing in the Group A class, and I was riding the under 15 category. So that time, it was my first international race, and clearly I finished last because I didn't have any experience, and they were really fast. And in India, we have supercross tracks, and in Sri Lanka, it's completely opposite. It's a motocross track. It's a huge stretch and all. So I finished last. Then next year again I went in 2014 with full preparations. Like we got a brand new 85cc. I started third from the grid and I had a crash. Like I pulled it in the air and almost did a backflip and fell down.
Ouch.
And I broke my 3 fingers. So that time it was in my head that if I'm doing so much, like my dad said, like we will make this happen and you have to win one of the races in Sri Lanka. So in 2015, we went with full preparations. Like we made a similar track in India, like 1 or 2 kilometers long. And also my dad put the exactly same jumps what was in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
So I practiced hard. Then I bought a brand new bike again, CRF 150cc, 4-stroke.
Okay.
And it was the start of the season. And on the first race itself, I did like first. And I was leading the international championship. So I was super happy. And at the same day, after the race, everyone had a party, like a gala time. And TVS team was also there. So Mr. Selvaraj sir and Pangaukar sir was there. So they told me like, we have a plan for you. Can you ride a Group B bike? So I didn't take it seriously first. Then we came back to India, and within 1 month, I got a call from TVS team. I was not even expecting. My dad got a call, and that time I was in school. When I came back from school, he said, "We need to go to Bangalore." And I was like happy. Let's go to Bangalore, because I wanted to skip school. I never loved going to school. So then he said, at least ask me why we are going. I said, why? No, TVS has got you an offer and they want to try the Group B bike.
Wow.
So I was pretty happy at that time.
And tell me more about your father, man, in the sense, your entire life, seeing your father in the TVS colors and doing so well, how was his reaction to realize that his own son, again, is going to be in the TVS factory racing colors?
So when they called me in the factory, that time they just got me as a supported rider for TVS.
Okay.
And it was exciting because it's the beginning of getting into a factory team, and it was something new, because the bike which I ride, it was a 2-stroke, 85cc, and jumping straight to the Indian manufacturer, which is RTR 180. He was clearly happy that it was the entry into the factory team. So I was fine, like whatever the bike they gave me, I was ready to ride. But the bike was really tall, and I was really very tiny that time. And straight jumping from a 85cc to a 160cc was a little bit difficult, because 2-stroke and 4-stroke has a lot of difference.
Yeah.
We were looking for a Group A bike that time, and I always wanted to ride the Group A category, which is the highest category in India.
So this is the interesting part, right? I think you started out with the Group B bike.
Yes.
And then at some point of time, you said you wanted to ride a 2002 or 2003 Group A bike, which was, I think, 125cc. It was 2-stroke. How did you decide to jump and take the gamble, of getting such an old bike, that too, you had the success in your international, like in Sri Lanka, on a 4-stroke? How did you gamble to again ride a 2-stroke, and that to a bike which was so old?
So I was not very comfortable on the 180, the Indian manufacturing bike, because it was totally different than what I used to ride at home. So I went to the factory, and inside factory there was a bike 125 lying just covered up with the plastics on it, and it was pretty old. So I just asked the mechanics, like, is this bike working? They said, yeah, it will take hardly 2 hours to fix it and it's all good. But it's pretty old, so maybe we don't have much parts of the bike. But this bike is in a good condition and can run maybe 1 year.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, let's give it a try. Then I went to the boss, Mr. Arvind Pangaukar. He said, if you want to ride, you can ride, you can try. We will make it, we will fix it for you and you can ride. When they fixed it and when they gave it to me, I started giving the best timings on the track. And over there, I decided, like, let's not ride the 180. I'll ride the 125. It's more fun and it's more compatible to me also, because I used to ride a 2-stroke.
That was my question. So this is like, you had the best season of your life in an international series like in Sri Lanka on a 4-stroke. Now you suddenly jump onto a 2-stroke and you're suddenly so good. So tell us more, like how much experience have you had previously with two-stroke? And what do you think are the nuances in the terms of what made the two-stroke better than the four-stroke that you had?
So there are categories like when you start riding, it goes up to like 50 cc, then it goes to 65 cc, then it goes to 85, then 125, then 150, and then it comes to a 250 two-stroke.
Okay.
This is how eventually you upgrade the bikes, right?
Okay.
So I was riding a 85 previously, and shifting to a four-stroke directly did not make any sense because I was not very comfortable, and the four-stroke is very different to a two-stroke. Two-stroke needs more power, more strength to handle it, because if you cut the throttle also, it will just go. It won't engine braking or nothing.
There's no engine braking.
Yeah, exactly. There is no engine braking.
Also, they must be a lot lighter, right? Much smaller, much more compact.
Yeah, much lighter, much compact, and it was fun. The sound of it was very exciting. And in a four-stroke, when they gave me a four-stroke, I started flat landing on it, and while landing, I broke my ankle on the bike because it was bottoming because of the weight of the engine.
Right.
And when I cracked my ankle, that time I told like it's very difficult and it's very different, so I might not ride, but I will shift to a Group A bike.
Okay.
So they agreed to it.
This was the TVS Group B bike that you're
Yes,
talking
Group
about.
B bike.
Because you already had experience with the four-stroke that you used in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka.
Okay. So it was just this TVS bike which you felt was a little bit on the heavier side. And you were more comfortable on the two-stroke because it was a lot lighter. But you're saying Group A. So Group A is up to 450cc?
Yes, up to 450.
Wait. So you're going into racing in a Group A category where you have up to 450cc license. And that's four-stroke, right? Okay. And you're on a 125cc. So that's equivalent to about a 250cc, right? Or four-stroke.
Yes.
Roughly. And you were still clocking...
The best timings on the
Wow.
125.
What about the other guys who were riding Group A? How close were you to them?
Of course, Arvind, KP and Harit Nova was on a next level because they were riding since, like, they were very senior to me and they had more experience. But even I was not, I was not giving up. It was like, whatever happens, I'm in the factory. You always have that pressure, right? That you are in the factory and you have to perform. So after some time, I was there, but could not finish the podium because at the end I was riding a 125 and they were riding a 350. So it made a huge difference. Eventually, the time passed. They gave me a four-stroke, a 300, but that also took time because it's a different bike. Again, it took around 1.5 years to just get comfortable and get used to the bike.
Okay.
Because I was very tiny, the power was more, and the bike was also heavier.
Yeah.
So it took a bit of time to get comfortable. But once I was comfortable, I started getting on the podium. Like I started finishing third, second.
Nice.
Could not finish first that time because it was very difficult.
You talk about pressure. Yeah. Now you are again representing TVS Factory Racing. But I'm thinking about another kind of pressure. Yeah. The pressure which comes from having a father who's been such a successful and celebrated TVS Factory racer. How much did that weigh on you in terms of, especially when you said initially when it was a little bit hard? Yeah, you were still adjusting. There was a big difference between the motorcycles that you were riding and now what you were riding. Not only in terms of from two-stroke, four-stroke, but also in terms of the cubic capacity, the power. Everything was bigger, the bikes were heavier. How much did the pressure of living up to your dad's talent weigh on you?
There was pressure. That's the biggest mistake. What I did was like taking pressure, a lot of pressure. So when TVS gives you a chance, they don't look up to the podium finishing, but they also start building you to be on the top. So when they chose me to ride for the team, that time I had the pressure because what if I don't perform and what if I'm out of the team and all that pressure. And the pressure made me start losing the races because I will make silly mistakes on the race day maybe not a good start. Maybe if I get a good start, I'll take that pressure because someone is behind me and I might go and crash on the corner or on the jump. It was, yeah, it was pretty difficult because I wanted to prove myself as my dad proved the team. And yeah, it was for like 3 or 4 years, I took a lot of pressure. But after some time, like the pandemic started from 2017 to 2020, I had maximum crashes. Like team didn't even know that will I finish the race also.
Oh, wow.
It was that
Was this all down to pressure or?
that this is all down to pressure. The team did not give me the pressure, but the pressure was inside me. Like always I thought of like maybe they will throw me out of the team because I'm not performing. So I need to perform, and I have to push.
So you're taking more risk.
Yeah, more risk. I started pushing over my limits and it never went. I never made it to the finish line that time.
Wow.
Started crashing, breaking bones, breaking 3 fingers, collarbone, everything was messed up. But in pandemic, I got some time to think about it and it all changed. After pandemic, the first race was in 2022. It was a curtain opening round in Jaipur. So I just thought of just leave the pressure. Whatever happens, let it happen. I'll ride with the full mind. So I just took a start and finished both of the races first. From that time, everything changed.
Did you, during this time, when it was really hard, 3 or 4 years as an athlete, as a professional athlete, I cannot even imagine the kind of pressure you must be feeling. Did that ever tempt you to maybe have a conversation with your dad? Because of course, he has been through what you have been through at some point of time. I know he was very successful, but I'm sure it wasn't overnight. He also had to put in his hard work. So did you ever remember having a conversation with him? Did he ever have, I don't know, tips of how to deal with pressure?
Yeah, the conversations were always there. But he always said like, my dad never gave me the pressure. So most of the people think my dad is giving me the pressure, but he never gave me the pressure. He always says one thing is just ride safe. Don't risk yourself and don't get into any injuries and come home. So that's all what he says. And there was not pressure from my dad, but also he always wanted me to win because he used to see me cycling every day in the morning, going for running and being on the bike for a while.
So he knew the potential.
Yes.
He could see that you were putting in the hard work.
Yes.
Yeah. So he knew that if you could somehow see beyond this pressure that you had put upon yourself, you could win. And I think the pandemic, the gap, the stop, which all of us were forced into, kind of helped you clear the mind and see things clearly.
Yes, it did help. And also, I used to see my dad, he's putting so much of hard work, like building tracks for me, traveling for me from one city to another, then buying me bikes for practice, buying cars for transportations. Always, I thought like he's spending so much of money, so I should win. I should take it seriously, more seriously, and I should always win. So it always keep on pressuring me that why I'm doing all this stupid mistakes. And in pandemic, I used to watch my old videos. So videos also helped me to improve myself.
With all of these conversations, with all of these hardships, I have to ask, like, if it weren't for your father, if it weren't for his cousins or your cousins who are into motocross, do you ever see yourself, maybe you could have tried some other sport, or was it always MX for you?
The funny fact is, my dad never wanted me to come in this sport.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he never wanted me to come in this sport because he used to avoid me going to my cousins' races and watching them because he was knowing that definitely one day I'll ask him for a bike. And he has gone through this, like he has many injuries. He had a crash in China which made him go into coma for 18 hours in China. And that time I was just 1 or 2 years old.
Wow.
So he always had that in the mind because it's a dangerous sport.
Yeah.
And he never wanted me to race. But I never stopped going to my cousin's races and watching them. And one fine day, like he fell down in the house and he broke his wrist.
Okay.
That time in the hospital, he told me, I just realized that if uh, something happens to me in future, who is gonna buy you a bike? Who is gonna train you? So if you wanna do racing, let's do it. I'll buy you everything, and everything started from there itself.
So he knew that no matter what,
Yeah.
you were going to do it anyway. And of course, having been such an integral part of this sport, he also knew the risk, and he realized that once you have made up your mind, he might as well guide you rather than try to stop you. That's awesome. Injuries, yeah, that's a part and parcel of this game. You have had your share of injuries, as you're mentioning. Which one was the worst?
Worst injury was in 2020
Okay.
in the pandemic. It was just the beginning of the lockdown. So the first lockdown, full family decided to go to my farm.
Okay.
So I was like, if we are going to the farm, let's take the bike. I have the track. Maybe I can just keep on riding and be in touch. So I started practicing there. Every day I used to do like 5 motos in the morning, 5 motos in the evening.
Okay.
So one fine day I was practicing, and in the evening, that was my last session, and my dad just came to the farm, and it was my last lap, and I was pushing so hard that my gearbox broke on the tip of the jump. And when the gearbox breaks, your rear wheel gets locked.
And when you're in the air.
Yes, the front wheel always was in the air, and the rear wheel got locked. So the momentum locked, and I just went to the straight in the face of the landing. And I didn't have so much of time that I could have jumped from the bike. So I left my hands, but my legs got stuck into the handlebars, and the bike came and hit my helmet. And I broke my helmet, and there was a big scar on my head. Maybe you can see this.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So the bike fell on you?
Yeah, the bike fell on me, and then same time I dislocated my shoulder. The shoulder was hurting bad. I didn't even realize that I have a huge cut on my head. So I told like my dad that remove my helmet. I have dislocated my shoulder. So he puts his hand under the helmet, and it was like my head was bleeding.
Wow.
And he was so scared. He just shouted to my driver that just remove the car. And from farm, the hospital is around 17 kilometers down. So we went to the local hospital, which was located in Murshi, a village
Okay.
kind of hospital.
And this was what, for just the stitches or to see what was happening?
Yeah, this is to see what was happened, because I really had long hair that time, so it was just bleeding. We did not know.
The extent of the injury.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we went to the local hospital in the village. They said we can see his skull, we can't treat him. Directly straight, they said we can't treat him. My dad was so mad at them. They said at least put something so we can stop the bleeding. They put a gauze like cotton on it, and still it was not like it was continuously bleeding. So my dad decided, like in the kitchen we had turmeric, 1 kg of turmeric seal packed. He put everything on my head to stop the bleeding. Then from there, from the village hospital, we went to a good hospital, which was Symbiosis. So over there was curfew with the police. So they said we got COVID patients over here, so I can't give you the entry over there. From there, we went to Sahyadri. We came to Kothurud. And it was pandemic, so all the roads were blocked. So maybe I think so that just like 3 or 4 barricading, he just like he didn't even see the barricade. Yeah, he just went through all the 4 barricadings. Then the police stopped us, but they showed my wound and everything, so they let us go. Then we came to Sahyadri. Sahyadri, they said they shaved it. When they shaved it, the wound was pretty big. It was like 8 inches long, and it was very deep.
Were you still conscious?
Yeah, I was conscious.
God.
I was conscious, and I was fucking getting bored because all the hospitals was not letting me go in, and the shoulder pain was so much that I fixed it back, but it was paining.
So you fixed the dislocated shoulder yourself
Yes.
while your head was bleeding profusely. But then you were not, the head wasn't really hurting as much. I guess with deep cuts, they don't hurt as much, but you're just bleeding like crazy.
Yeah, it was bleeding, and I did not know how deep it is. So I know it was bleeding. I thought it must be just the upper layer of the skin, and it's just normal thing. So my shoulder was hurting, and then we went to Sahyadri. Sahyadri, they treated me. Then they sent me to the main Deccan Sahyadri to get the CT scan. Nothing was to the brain, nothing was to the skull.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you could see the scar, but
Yeah.
luckily, nothing had been shaken inside.
Exactly.
Thank God. So the helmet did the job.
Yes, helmet did the job.
Okay.
Then after that, I was maybe 8. They gave me like 8 or 9 stitches on my head, and after 2 days, I was back home. And
Okay.
I was on the cycle. They told me not to do anything, but
How did your father allow you, or he didn't know?
no, he was knowing. He scolded me like, he's like, stop it, don't do anything, and just go and rest. But I could not sleep also because there were stitches on my head, so I could not sleep. So rather than sitting at home playing PUBG, I used to go and cycle and maintain my fitness that time. So he decided that time that no more racing. It's the end of the thing.
Wow.
Yeah, he just decided like you are not racing anymore, and that's the end. Then he's like, if you want to go into cycling, my brother is a cyclist.
Okay.
So
He's a professional cyclist.
professional cyclist.
Okay.
He trains all the Maharashtrian athletes.
Okay.
If you want to do cycling, you go train with your brother and do cycling. I'll buy you another cycle worth like 6 or 7 lakhs. Doesn't care.
But just no.
But no more Supercross, no more biking.
How did you turn that tide in your favor?
So it wasn't my fault, right? It was bike's fault that bike broke and
Yeah, just a mechanical.
mechanical
happened to
failure.
anyone.
Yeah,
Just
mechanical
bad luck.
failure. So that time my mom supported a lot. She said,
Really?
yeah. That time mom said, see, if you stop him, he's not gonna stop because he's with the factory team.
Yes.
Because my dad sold everything that time. He sold my helmet, he sold my boot.
Wow. He was serious.
Yeah, he was serious. He sold my bike, everything. And I was with the factory. I know if he sells also, I am gonna get it from the factory team.
Okay, so you had a plan B.
Yeah, plan
But
B.
then your mom came to your rescue. How did your mom, having seen you go through all of this?
She was worried because when I crashed, I think I had a memory loss for like 1 minute or two. Recently my sister also went to UK. She drifted to UK, and that time I had a crash, and suddenly I am very close to my sister. So when I crashed, I just asked, "Where is my sister?" And they were shocked, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what has happened? So my mom was a little bit worried about it. Then she was like, he's not gonna stop. Let him do whatever he wants to do.
But how, I mean, that's the thing is like, so she just realized that she knows you.
Yeah.
She knows that you're not going to give up,
Yeah,
no matter what your dad did. So instead of doing something that they don't know about, they rather decided that they should support you. So at least that you're not hiding anything from them. Was that the main?
yeah, that was the main thing.
Okay.
And she has always seen my dad also racing, and she has seen my dad suffering from injuries. So she was pretty cool. Like, it's a normal thing. Till
Wow.
date, if I break anything today, I just call my mom like, I have broken this. She's like, okay, come home. I'm just taking a doctor's appointment. We'll go and we'll make you send back after 3 months.
So that's a racer's life, like a racer's family. It's just a part and parcel of what you do, especially MX. That is incredible. So you put your foot down and you're like, okay, I'm racing. And this is also a time when you said that after the pandemic is when things started really getting better.
Yeah.
So it took a hit on your head
Yes, exactly.
for you to start doing better. Wow. But then that's the thing, as in, didn't you, after going through all of this, feel like, is it really worth it? Like, why do I risk all of this? Like, why continue?
So I always had this in mind. I had a target that my mom told me my dad never came home without a trophy. That was the main target. Like, even I thought like, never come home without a trophy, always come with a win. But that thing never happened. And she also said like she got 2 consecutive national championships. So in my family, no one has broken his record.
Okay.
So not even my uncle, not even my cousins, no one. So I had that target like I need to break his record. I want to make my own new record. So I started working hard. After pandemic, I won my first SX1 national championship, 2022. Then in second was the 2023 National Supercross Championship. And so 2 consecutives are already done. So this is my third year, the 2024. So I'm really working very, very hard for it. Just being on the bike for like in a week, I'm riding for 4 days, 4 or 5 days continuously, like 5 motors in the morning, 5 motors in the evening.
What do you love so much about it? What about motocross or supercross do you love? Like, why is it such a big passion for you?
First, the sport is completely different from the other sports, like example cricket,
Mhm.
example soccer.
So even in terms of risk, in terms of how so? Like, of course, it's different, but
It's different from the risk and
much
more
more risk.
adrenaline is into
Yeah,
motorsports. Riding neck to neck,
yeah,
passing to the corners. Every track has its own soil.
Yeah.
The difference of the soil. If you go to Coimbatore, it's more you say it's more pebbly.
Mhm.
Then if you go to Bangalore, it's more dry.
Mm.
All the terrains are different, and it takes like more focus and more energy towards it. And it's something which I just love doing it.
But the crazy part about this is also the fact that even in a race, yeah, the terrain keeps changing. Yeah, you still have that one line that everyone wants to be on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you need to be, and it's like Moto3, which we have in road racing, where you're so close to each other, and you have terrain which is changing this, and the grip is changing all the time. So how do you manage that? I think that's the kind of skill, the perfection that you're looking for, right? Like adaptability. Would you say that's like a very important skill to develop?
Yes, it's very. Rather, you don't follow each other. You make your own lines. In Supercross, you can make your own lines. In maybe MXGP, MotoGP, you can't make
Yeah.
your own line.
Yeah.
You have to follow the same line. And I guess it's the straight patch where you can
Get
pass.
overtake. Yeah.
Yeah. So in Supercross, it's different. Like you make your own lines. You make your own strategy, and yeah, it's a demanding sport, and I just love what I'm doing right now.
So what do you think makes you or gives you the edge? What has been the main factor or factors which has made you a consecutive national champion in the highest form of supercross that we have here in India?
So first, it's the target which I want to achieve. Second is the focus and the determination what I give to the sport. Like full time, I'm into this. I do cycling, swimming, running.
How many kilometers do you cycle? How much do you swim?
I do cycling around 30 kilometers per day, and on the weekends, I do like 90, 92 kilometers.
Wow. Okay.
And cycling, it's maybe 1 hour. I really don't know how much. I don't remember because it's been a while. I have not swim because of my shoulder. I have a dislocation problem. So, yeah.
But then you spend a lot of time actually on the motorcycle.
Yes, because bike time is something which we really need. So fitness, if I cycle every day, like if I cycle every day 100 kilometers also, it's going to make a difference in riding a bike. Maybe if I sit on a bike after 2 months, still I'll be tired after riding maybe 10 or 12 laps.
Okay.
So for that, I just need a lot of bike time to understand the bike better, understand the suspension settings, understand the techniques, new techniques. And this is what it makes me better. Just focusing on myself, not targeting any of the riders that, yeah, this is the guy, I just need to pass him. It's just the me versus my lap times.
You're also getting support from TVS Racing because you mentioned you were in Bangalore yesterday where they had actually flown in some really top level MXGP riders who were also training you, right?
Yes.
Does that also help?
Yes, that also helps because he's been a KTM factory rider.
Wow.
In MXGP, he rode 2022.
Okay.
2020 because he had a severe accident and he broke his neck.
What's his name again?
We call him Ika.
Okay.
So he broke his neck, and he has a screw in his neck. So doctors told him that if we are not confident to remove the screw, maybe he might die while removing.
Wow. Okay.
And so he is also scared, and the federation is also not giving him the license because he has a screw in his neck.
So now he's just training others.
Yeah, he's just training. He has a school in Spain, which is called MX Specialized.
Okay.
So I was there few months for last year, and he's really good at it. And it always gives you make you learn something new, like scrubbing or soaking the jump. So that helps a lot. Just small tips also. At the end, it's just you have to adapt what you have trained and what you have to do on the track.
So do you also think, like, again, you are racing in a category which is up to 450cc. Yeah, you're riding a 300cc bike. There's a big power deficit. How do you make up for it? How do you still dominate?
Yeah, so most of the grid is filled with 300 up to 300cc. No one rides a 450.
Why is that?
Because 450 has a lot of torque and more power, and you can't utilize the entire power of a 450.
Would that also be dependent on the track? Like the track?
Yes, in Supercross, the track is for the MRF, it's hardly 800 to 700 meters. That's it, not even a kilometer. So, and it's really tight.
Okay.
And the jumps are also pretty small, not as big as the AMA thing. So if I decided to ride a 450, maybe I won't go above the second gear. Maybe I'll just finish all the race in the second gear. But you have to be more focused because it has more power. If you give wrong throttle in the wrong corner, you might do a 360 on the thing.
Right.
So it's better to ride a 250 or 350. At least you can utilize the entire power of the bike, and it's more lighter and comfortable to ride also.
That was my next question. So what do you think are the strengths? Because you are dominating, right? So what do you think the TVS Racing Factory Supercross bike that you have right now, what are the best things that you love about it?
I've been in the team since 11 years now, and I'm so used to the bike. So I just love that the factory doesn't change a lot of things on the bike. Every year it's a new bike, new engine.
Okay.
But more or less it's the same chassis, and handling is almost the same.
Okay.
So that's the one thing, because if you see KTM, I was riding a 2012 KTM previously. And from 2012, when I started racing for TVS, one of my friend bought a 2022 KTM. When I shifted to the 2022, it was fully like
very different.
Very different. I could not even could not go like 4 or 5 laps on it.
Wow.
It was very different from the bike what.
So you like the consistency. You like the fact that it's a proven formula.
Yeah.
It's something which has worked over the years across different hands. Yeah, they've had multiple champions riding the same bike.
Yes.
So they know they have something good. They just, of course, work on the engine. They tune it better. And it's just the fact that you know the bike so well now that's completely 100% in your control. So now you are just focusing and pushing yourself as a rider.
Yes.
Which gives you the edge. Fascinating. I have to ask, yeah, I know you are absolutely killing it in Supercross. Has looking at Harith Noah that you have mentioned so many times, has the thought of maybe going to rallying or Dakar never really crossed your mind?
See, looking at them, rally is something very different from Supercross. It has long stages.
Yeah.
You need a lot of endurance, and the risk factor in that is much more.
Yeah.
So looking at Dakar, it's just not a piece of cake. Like if I think today, and I told my dad, like invest 2 or 3 CR and I'll go and ride Dakar, it's not happening.
Yeah.
I might not even finish the first stage. I'll be out.
Yeah.
So it's something very different. I have never thought about riding Dakar or never dreamed riding Dakar, because my dad is against rallying because it's more dangerous. He's saying, Supercross, if you crash also, you will crash in front of me.
Correct.
If you go to a rally, you will be crashing somewhere
Middle of nowhere.
middle of nowhere, and maybe you won't get any emergency supplies
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
So he's scared of that, but yeah, somewhere I just want to ride one of the national rallies and just
Yeah.
check myself. Let's
Just to see where you.
where I stand, and yeah, you never know what
the future holds. Talking about the future, so you're clearly killing it here. Yeah. But then what do you have next for you? You're sticking to Supercross, which is fine. But are you looking beyond India? I know you did a round and you did quite well. I think it was the Dubai National Championship.
Yes,
And I think you were already on the podium.
yes.
And was it this year or last year?
It was last year.
Last year.
There is a huge gap between the races, like in MRF, because MRF conducts Supercross rallies, then there are car rallies. The calendar is filled. Okay.
Correct.
So if we have 2 rounds in January, February, then there will be a gap of 4 months or 3
Oh,
months.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the gap is pretty much huge. So I decided to go to Dubai.
Okay.
I told my team like, let's try for Dubai, and they said, okay, if you want to ride, we'll.
So this is with TVS Racing.
Yes.
Oh, lovely. They're supporting you there as well.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay.
So they told me, Mr. Selvaraj told me like, okay, we'll ship you the bike over there directly.
Nice.
And it was pretty good. Like I was there in Dubai for 3 months training.
Nice.
And because it's all sand and I'm not used to sand.
Very different terrain.
Yeah, very different terrain. And I'm not used to the sand. So Dad told go, stay for 3 months, adapt there, get used to the heat
Mm-hmm.
and the timings, everything.
Yeah.
And then you can just race for maybe go and race. My first race, I did not get a start because the start is also different. It's concrete start.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a concrete start.
okay.
So nobbies on the concrete, very bad. So
Wow.
I didn't have I had the whole shot device. Everything was perfect, okay. But I never had that feeling of a contract.
Launching on a concrete.
Yeah. So when you launch on the mud, it's like full gas.
Correct.
And when I started, when I gassed, it just made me go speed 6th day.
Wow.
Everyone left. Everyone left. And I had to
catch up. Yeah.
Catch up, and I finished 3rd.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The potential is there.
Yeah.
Incredible. So, do you think this year you'll get maybe to try out the entire season? Is that your hope or?
Yeah, that's what Selvaraj sir said. We are thinking of, we have a plan to go in September and ride the entire season.
That's how many rounds?
That's 8 rounds.
Wow.
DMX National Championship. And that will definitely give more push because there are more faster riders, and riding with them can make you learn a lot of new things. The future goal for me is to ride the Asian Championship.
Mm-hmm.
I already participated in 2015.
Okay.
I was riding the junior category.
Right.
And same thing, like Sri Lanka, I did not win, and my dad had the goal that will make you win. Same thing happened. First round, I finished last.
Okay.
There was nowhere between the Asian.
This is still in 2015.
Yes, 2015. Nowhere in the Asian riders. Then we decided those tracks were 3 or 4 kilometers long. 3.2 kilometers.
So from 800 meters to 3 to 4 kilometers.
Yes, it was very long.
Wow.
And it was not possible to make the same track in India. So we decided to shift to Indonesia. One of my friends, I made a friend.
Wow. Okay.
We shifted there. We practiced with him in his own track. And I was fighting from last to the second round. I was fighting for the qualifying for 1, 2, 3. Fighting it was neck to neck. And there was a jump. It was not angled in the very right position. It was like a cross jump. So a lot of riders were not hitting it. Only 2 riders were hitting it, and I was the 3rd who attempted. But the fact was, where the tabletop was, they just digged in the mud from the left side and just put it on the they builded a jump.
Right.
And it was deep, maybe 20 feet deep.
Wow.
They digged. So I came from the inside and I jumped. My dad also told not to jump, but my mind said something else and I jumped. I jumped and cross landed it and I straight went to the hole. And same thing, the bike fell on me and I could not race the Asian Championship. Otherwise, could have finished like top 3 in the Asians.
So it's unfinished business.
Yeah.
So that's your target now.
Yeah,
You're
that's
clearly
the
doing
target.
Well, you're doing well in Dubai. And so where exactly do these Asian rounds happen? Is it just one country or across different countries?
No, it's across different countries. It happens in Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, and Indonesia.
There you have it, guys. I mean, the man of the hour. And I'm so happy to see that he's getting the opportunity to also, take his skill overseas and really become a better rider than he already is. So it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you for taking our time and all the very best. And we'll be keeping a very close eye on your progress.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a good one. Cheers.